this tutorial, we are going to create a smooth and responsive player dash system in Unity. As you can see in the video, this beginner-friendly tutorial will guide you through the entire setup step by step. Huge thanks to Riabus, Rivers and Anwar Knight for supporting me on Patreon, and a very special thanks to Felipe for joining the higher tier membership and purchasing my source code on my Patreon page. Your support really helps me continuing creating these tutorials. Now let's jump right into it. In order to make our player dash, we need some parameters. So the first thing, we need this Rigidbody2D component. You can see in the inspector, because we just want to set the gravity scale to 0. So when we are dashing, I don't want my player to fall down, so that's why. And also we need to add the velocity in the X, basically the dash. So that is the reason we need this Rigidbody2D component. So you can create a player dash script, or you can just do inside player script as well. Yeah, you can create a separate script for player dash. I'm gonna do it inside my player script, so I'm gonna open that up. And we need some parameters, so let's grab the reference. So the first thing, we're gonna grab our Rigidbody2D. So let's go to top of our class and let's make a variable for it to grab the reference. So we're gonna make a private, it doesn't need to be public. And the component we're looking for Rigidbody, so we're gonna type Rigidbody. Let's call it something like RB, short for Rigidbody2D. And now we're gonna go to our start function, and in the start of the game, I'm just gonna grab the reference. So I will set RB equal to this dot game object, which is referencing itself, the player, and we're gonna use get component to get the component, and the component we're looking for Rigidbody2D. So let's put there first bracket, and then we're gonna close that up with semicolon. So what we're simply doing, we're just taking our Rigidbody2D component of this player, you can see, and we're just taking that and we're putting inside the RB parameter that we created right over here, right here. And also we need the dash force with how much amount of force we just want to make the dash. So I'm gonna make a public float, and let's call it something like dash force. Let's call it dash force, and by default I'm gonna set it to something like 15F or 15 unit. And also we need the duration of the dash, for how much amount of time we just want to make the dash. So I'm gonna make a public float, and let's call it something like dash duration. And by default I'm gonna set it to something like 0.2 second, a lesser number. And also we need the direction, in which direction we want to make the dash. If the player is looking to the left direction, then we just want to make the dash to the negative side. So we need the direction, basically we need to calculate it, and it doesn't need to be public. So we're gonna make a private float, and let's call it something like dash direction. So I'm gonna call it dash direction, and let's close that up with semicolon. And also we need to create a bool parameter, which can be true or false, to just keep track of if this player game object is dashing or not. If it's dashing, then we need to shut down our player movement, and when the dash is over, then we just want our player to move as usual. So that's why we need that parameter. So I'm gonna make a private bool, which just gonna keep track of for dashing, and let's call it something like if is dashing, just like that. And I will go to a start function, and in the start of the game I'm gonna set is dashing equal to false, because in the start of the game I'm not gonna dash at all. And now we're gonna make a function to dash, so let's make it somewhere around here. So we're gonna type void and then dash, but we're not gonna use as normal function. Instead we're gonna use enumerator, because after the dash duration I want my player to move left and right as normal. So after a period of time we just want to do some certain things. So if you want to do some certain things after some period of time, then you have to use that function called enumerator instead of using the normal like void. And before you use that, make sure you just go to top of your class and include this namespace called using system.collection, because it's gonna allow us to, in order to use that is enumerator. So I'm gonna include it over here. So enumerator, and we have to name the function. Let's call it something like dash first bracket and some curly brackets. And so this is our dash. So once we're gonna call the dash function, then we're gonna dash. So in the start of the dash function, I'm gonna set is dashing equal to true because we're gonna dash. And also we need to set the gravity scale to 0, so our player not gonna fall down. So we will go to RB, means rigid body 2D, which is going over to that component. Then we're gonna access the gravity scale and let's set equal to 0f. We're simply going over to this rigid body 2D of this player, then accessing this gravity scale, which is 3, we can see, and we just set it to 0, so it's not gonna fall down, because once we making our player dash, I don't want this player to fall down. And and when the dash is over, then I'm gonna set back gravity scale to back to its normal value. And now before we make the dash, basically at the velocity in the x-axis or the dash in the x-axis, we need to calculate the direction, which direction our player is looking. And I have created a parameter called facing right, and you can see right over here. This parameter right here is just calculating our player, which direction this player is looking. And if you confused about it, I'm gonna have a video in the description. You can go and check it out, how you can flip your player or enemy. Sorry, this will be player. So now we're just gonna calculate. So before we set the dash direction, we just want to check. So let's use this if condition, and we will check if our facing right is true, means player is looking to the right direction. Then I'm gonna set to dash direction equal to a positive number, so I'm gonna set it to 1f. And let's suppose the player is looking to the left direction, so else if, and we're gonna put exclamation mark, it means that parameter will be false. It means that facing right is false, our player is looking to the left direction. Then I'm gonna set dash direction, so let's set our dash direction equal to a negative number, so I'm gonna set it to -1f. -1f, basically negative number. And now we are ready to add the velocity. So we will go to rigid body, basically RB, then we're gonna access the linear velocity, or you can simply just say the velocity of our player. And now we're gonna set equal to a new vector 2, which gonna have the x and the y velocity, x comma y velocity. So we want to make the dash in the x axis, so we basically need to just play around with the x. So we're gonna replace this x with our dash force, because we want to make the dash in the x axis. So I'm gonna pass my dash force, and we're gonna multiply this dash force with our dash direction. So we're gonna multiply with our dash direction, because we need to make sure which direction we just want to make the basically the dash. So let's suppose dash direction is -1, and the dash force by default we have given 15 units, so 15 into -1 will be -15. It means the dash will be dash will be due in the negative direction, which is -15 unit. And in the y-axis we don't want to make any dash at all, so we're gonna put 0f in the y, because we don't want to make any dash at all in the y-axis. And now we're gonna use this line of code. It says yel, basically we need to include this line of code, yel return new wait for second, and make first bracket, and inside this bracket you can just pass the time, and after this period of time you can just do whatever you want to do. So I'm gonna pass my dash duration, I'm gonna pass, and after the dash duration, it means the dash is over. And now what we can do, we can just set our is dashing to false, because the dash is done. And that basically the dash duration is basically, you can think of the duration is over for our dash. And also we need to make sure we just set the gravity scale to back to its normal value, which is, we can see 3 unit. So we will go to RB, then we're gonna access the gravity scale, and we're gonna set it to 3 unit, because dash is done. And now we have to call the function when we just want to make the dash. So if I click the right mouse button, then I just want to make the player dash. So I will go over to my update function, and I can just do it anywhere I want. So over here I'm gonna use the if condition, because I'm gonna check. So you can check with any keys, it's totally up to you. I'm gonna check with right mouse button. So I'm gonna use this function. It called it if input dot get mouse button down, make first bracket. If we pass 0, 0 basically means the left mouse button. Since I just want to check with the right mouse button, I'm gonna pass 1. It means that if input dot get mouse button down means we just clicking the right mouse button, and if that is the case, and at the same time I'm just gonna check if we are not dashing. So n we're gonna put exclamation mark, and then we're gonna say is dashing is false. It means that we are not dashing. It means we are ready to dash. So we can call the dash function. So we can simply call the dash function, but we cannot call it normally because this is a coroutine function. So what we have to do, we need to type this start coroutine first. Start coroutine, make this bracket, and inside this bracket you basically have to call the function. So in our case that is dash. It's kinda bit weird, but we have to use this, and that's all we have to do. Now if I click the right mouse button, you can see we not doing anything at all. It's kinda bit weird because we need to shut down our movement. So once we are dashing, we need to make sure we just shut down our movement. So I will go over to my script, and over here you can see I'm just adding the linear velocity and we making the movement over here. So before you make the movement, make sure if you are dashing, then you have to shut your movement for now. So that I'm gonna use this is dashing parameter because we created that parameter to just keep track of if we dashing or not. So that's why over here before we making the movement, we just want to check. So we will check if dashing is true. If dashing is true, it means we dashing. That means we need to stop execute this line of code. We need to stop doing it. So we're gonna type this return, and we do know after return it means this line of code will not be execute, means the movement will be shut down once we are dashing. And you can see by now we making the dash, and once you are dashing you can just play the dash animation clip if you want. Something just like that you can make it. So I hope you get the idea. And we dashing even on the ground, which we really don't want. So you can just go over to your script, and before you dash you can just put another and condition, and you can check if the player is standing on top of this ground or not. If it's, then we need to stop dashing, and if the player is in the air, then we can just make the dash. So you can put a third condition here as well before you dash.